The rain hammered the diner window like it had a grudge, blurring the neon "Open 24/7" sign into a watery smear. I was nursing my third black coffee, staring at the check from last night's deal that could have made or broken everything, when she slid into the booth across from me. Uninvited, eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost. "Mr. Hale," she whispered, voice cutting through the clatter of plates. "Your friend Ryder? He's not who you think. Get out while you can. He's selling you down the river." Her name was Lila, the night shift waitress with tattoos snaking up her arms like forgotten promises and a noble shit stare that could have stopped traffic on Fifth Avenue. I'd been coming to this greasy spoon in Midtown for years, ever since I clawed my way from a Queens walk-up to a corner office overlooking Central Park. It was my ritual. Post-meeting decompression, eggs over easy, and the illusion of normalcy amid the chaos of boardrooms and buyouts. Ryder knew that. Hell, he'd been the one to drag me here after our first big score, back when we were 22 and invincible, splitting cheesesteaks and dreaming of empires built on nothing but grit and each other's shadows. But that night, as the storm raged outside, Lila's words hung in the air like smoke from a back-alley cigar. She leaned in closer, her apron stained with ketchup and regret, and spilled it all in a rush. She'd overheard Ryder on his phone in the corner booth 2 nights back, voice low and venomous, haggling with some suit from a rival firm. "Yeah, Micah's got the blueprints locked in his safe. Tech patents worth millions. I'll get M to you by dawn. Cut me in for 20%, and we're golden." My stomach twisted like a knife in the gut. Ryder, my Ryder, the guy who'd held my hand through Dad's funeral, who'd crashed on my couch after his folks kicked him out for being too soft, who'd shared stolen glances in high school locker rooms that neither of us ever named. Betrayal tasted like battery acid, burning all the way down. I paid the tab with a nod and stumbled out into the downpour, collar up against the wind whipping off the Hudson. My town car idled at the curb, but I waved off the driver. Needed the walk, needed the cold to numb the ache blooming in my chest. Ryder and I went way back, to sticky summer nights in Flushing, tossing a baseball until our palms bled, whispering secrets under the L tracks. We'd built Hail Tech together from a garage startup to a 9-figure beast, him handling the charm, me the code. But lately, the late nights at the office stretched longer for him, excuses piling up like unread emails. "Networking," he'd say with that crooked grin, the one that used to make my pulse stutter. I should have seen it, the distance in his eyes, the way he'd flinch when our knees brushed under the conference table. By the time I hit my penthouse on the Upper East Side, the city's pulse throbbed in my temples. I poured a scotch neat enough to strip paint, and sank into the leather armchair facing the floor-to-ceiling windows. Manhattan sprawled below, a glittering beast that chewed up dreamers and spat out husks. Ryder's betrayal wasn't just business. It was personal, a fracture in the only family I'd ever claimed. We'd danced around it for years, that unspoken pull, the way his laugh lit something feral in me, the almost kisses aborted by fear or denial. In a world that still sneered at guys like us, we'd settled for brotherhood, safer than the leap. Now, he'd lit the match and I was watching it all burn. Sleep dodged me like a pro, so dawn found me hollow-eyed at the kitchen island, scrolling through encrypted files on my laptop. The patents, AI-driven logistics software that could revolutionize supply chains, were my crown jewels, the reason venture caps circled like sharks. If Ryder leaked them, it'd tank the IPO, bury me under lawsuits, leave me scraping by on ramen in that old Queens dump. I fired off a text. "Coffee? Usual spot. 10 a.m. Neutral ground." Let him squirm. He showed up late, hair tousled like he'd rolled out of someone else's bed, that easy swagger masking the cracks. "Micah, man, you look like hell. Rough night." He slid into the booth, ordering his usual, black with 2 sugars, and flashed the grin. Up close, he was still devastating. Sharp jaw, hazel eyes flecked with gold, the kind of handsome that turned heads in any boardroom or back alley. We bullshitted for 10 minutes. Stock tips, Nick's latest choke, before I couldn't hold it. Lila told me everything. His fork froze midair, eggs dangling. Color drained from his face, leaving him pale as the Formica tabletop. "What? That waitress? She's got it wrong, bro." I was venting, hypothetical shit. Bullshit. I shoved my phone across. The audio clip Lila had slipped me playing tinny and damning. His voice, clear as a confession, sealing the deal. Ryder's eyes darted, then dropped. It's not what you think. I needed the cash, debts piling up, Ma's medical bills. They promised it'd be clean, no traces to you. Clean? You're gutting me, Ryder. Us. The diner blurred at the edges, my voice cracking like thunder. Customers glanced over, but I didn't care. This was our unraveling, raw and public. All those years, late nights coding till sunrise, you crashing at my place after the fights with your old man. Was it ever real? Or just a long con till the payout? He reached for my hand, instinctive, but I yanked back. His touch burned now, laced with lies. Micah, please. You're the only real thing I've got. This city's a meat grinder. It chews you up if you don't play dirty. Tears welled in his eyes, mirroring the storm in mine. For a split second, I saw the boy from Queens, vulnerable and fierce, the one who'd murmured, "I got you," when grief choked me silent. But the moment shattered. I did it for us, to get out from under, build something bigger. Forgive me? I stood, chair scraping like a scream. There is no us anymore. The bell above the door jangled as I bolted, rain greeting me like an old enemy. I wandered blocks in a daze, past hot dog carts and yellow cabs honking symphonies of indifference, until my phone buzzed. An unknown number. Mr. Hale, we need to talk. About Ryder. Come to the park bench by the Bethesda fountain. Now, a friend. Suspicion coiled in my gut, but curiosity won. Central Park was a green lung amid the concrete jungle, alive with joggers and tourists oblivious to my implosion. I spotted him before he saw me. Tall, broad-shouldered, in a wool overcoat that screamed old money, nursing a thermos on the bench. Early 30s, maybe, with dark curls tamed under a beanie and eyes like smoked quartz. Wary but warm. He stood as I approached, extending a gloved hand. Micah Hale? I'm Elias. Ryder's. Ix. From college. The word landed like a gut punch. So there had been others, pieces of Ryder I'd never glimpsed. Elias gestured to the bench, voice steady with a faint Boston lilt. I know this blindsides you, but when Lila called me last night, said you'd been in, looking wrecked, I couldn't sit on it. Ryder pulled the same stunt on me 5 years back. Stole client lists from my startup, tanked it overnight. I lost everything. Apartment, savings, the girl I was pretending to date to keep up appearances. I sank down, the cold seeping through my slacks. Why tell me now? Salt in the wound. He shook his head, gaze drifting to the fountain's spray, where cherubs danced eternal. Because I see me in you, the blind faith, the love wrapped in loyalty. Ryder's a hurricane, Micah. Charms you in, wrecks you leaving. But you're stronger. I dug up proof, emails, wire transfers. Enough to bury him legally. Save your deal. We talked for hours, the park unfolding around us like a confessional. Elias peeled back layers. His own coming-out wars in a conservative family, the quiet devastation of betrayal, the slow rebuild in consulting gigs that paid the rent but starved the soul. There was a quiet poetry to him, a humanism that pierced my armor. Stories of volunteering at shelters, mentoring queer kids in Brooklyn, believing in second chances even when they stung. And me? I spilled it all. The orphan kid coding apps to escape, the empire as armor, the ache for Ryder that blurred friendship and fire. By noon, the sun cracked the clouds, gilding the leaves in gold. Elias's hand brushed mine. Accidental, then not, and electricity hummed, tentative and true. No grand gestures, just the brush of knuckles, a shared breath. You're not alone in this, he said softly. Not anymore. The climax hit that evening. Rooftop of my building, city lights winking like conspirators.
Ide taksta idar, rooftop.
Now, end this. He arrived windswept, eyes pleading, briefcase in hand. The patents he swore untouched. Micah, I called it off. After the diner, I couldn't. It's always been you. Since we were kids, fumbling in the dark. Lies or truth? His confession cracked open old wounds. The almosts, the what-ifs. Rain started again, fat drops smacking the gravel. You broke us, Ryder. For what? A quick score. Thunder rolled, lightning forking the sky, illuminating his face. Beautiful, broken. I was scared, he admitted, voice shattering. Of us. The world doesn't make it easy for guys like me. Like you. Thought money would fix it, make me worthy. He stepped closer, rain plastering his shirt, vulnerability raw. For a heartbeat, I wavered, the pull of history, the romance of redemption. But Elias's words echoed, "You're stronger." I held out my hand, not for embrace, but the briefcase. "It's over. Walk away clean or I press charges." He handed it over, tears mingling with rain, then turned, silhouette fading down the access stairs. No chase, no plea, just the hollow echo of goodbye. The next weeks blurred. Lawyers circling wagons, IPO salvaged by Elias's intel. Ryder vanished. Rumors of a fresh start in Seattle, chasing ghosts. Me? I leaned into the void, letting Elias fill it inch by inch. Dinners in hole-in-the-wall bistros, walks along the High Line where he'd steal glances that made my heart stutter. Our first kiss came soft, under a harvest moon in Prospect Park. Tentative lips, hands framing faces, the world narrowing to breath and belonging. It wasn't fireworks. It was hearth fire, steady and warm. Elias taught me grace. Volunteering side by side at the center, his laugh chasing shadows from my doubts. We built something human, flawed, fierce, rooted in trust earned, not assumed. Betrayal scarred, but it carved space for truth. In America's relentless grind, where fortunes flip and hearts fracture, love isn't a conquest. It's the quiet choice to stay, to heal, to say, "I see you, all of you, and I'm not running."